Gotcha. So the way this episode starts off is probably confusing a lot of the casual viewers, I'm assuming. Because out of nowhere, we kind of just see Dr. Zhoniin talking to Zombie Man. So in season 2, we saw that Zombie Man was tracking down monsters during the invasion. And when he came across Martial Gorilla, he saw him get defeated by Armored Gorilla, which is the same gorilla guy that we saw in season 1 who, belonged to the House of Evolution. After they were defeated by Saitama, they pretty much turned babyface, or at least Armored Gorilla did for sure, and they opened like a takoyaki stand. So since then, and coming into season 3, Zombie Man has been tracking Armored Gorilla, and it led him to the takoyaki stand. In the manga, which I'm not going to harp on, there is a lot of connective tissue that gets us to this point, but they kind of just cut all that out in this episode and just get straight to the meat of it. So in case you were curious, that's why Zombie Man is here. But the big revelation here is that Zombie Man himself is one of the experiments of the House of Evolution. And he also goes by experimental sample number 66. Apparently, he was the only success of Dr. Zhoniin's immortality project. So that's pretty cool, right? That explains why Zombie Man is Zombie Man. Even though we haven't seen him fight yet, we're just finding out that he is immortal. Or at least he would have said that he was if they didn't cut that sequence out of the anime. Now, what does immortal mean? We're gonna see when he eventually fights in this season, which is, gonna be midway through the season. It's gonna be a pretty great episode, or at least, I hope it is. But Zombie Man's like threatening to kill Dr. Zhoniin. I mean, he's not going to. He's more so, I guess, just angry and just probing him for information, because Zombie Man is like a noir detective. That's like his gimmick. He wants to find out why the House of Evolution was defeated, because this is news to him. And long story short, Dr. Zhoniin says it's Saitama, although he doesn't literally say Saitama. He says it's like a hero, but he was so powerful that, he defeated Cartridge Kabuto, which led to Dr. Zhoniin essentially rethinking his life and have like a soft face turn. But then he also reveals that Saitama had removed his limiter. This is the first time we're hearing about the limiter, and it's one of the most important aspects of One Punch Man, because this is why Saitama is the One Punch Man. He removed his limiter. Essentially, all beings have a limiter on them, but only Saitama has removed it. And that is why he has no limit to his power. I obviously could go way more into this, but it would involve spoilers. But let's just stick to the information that we're getting from this episode. Because if we go back to the House of Evolution episodes, when Saitama fights Carnage Kabuto, he, for the first time, reveals to the characters and the audience his iconic training regimen. And as he said, he wasn't lying. That is how he became as strong as he is. Yes, part of that is supposed to be comical for sure, and I guess supposed to inspire the viewer to like have a training regimen as well. In the world of One Punch Man, Saitama did that training so much to the point of where he removed the limit of his power. And another little funny thing in this sequence is Zombie Man asks him, did he gain all at no cost? And Dr. Zhoniin is like, well, in exchange for his strength, he went bald. But also suffers from suffocating isolation of being the strongest and never having a challenge again, which I guess is a fair trade-off. But going further, Zombie Man's like, I know many monsters who disregard their strength limits. When they don't become actual monsters, the world calls them heroes. And Dr. Zhoniin is like, no, this is on a whole different level. And he goes on to fully explain to the audience how monsters work, like how people become monsters and why their strength is different than what Saitama's is. There's so much information here that also isn't fully explained in the anime as well that I'm going to have to make 2 separate videos talking about this stuff, and I'd really like to get them out this week. So guys, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. I know a lot of you watch my videos from the recommended, and that's fine. I do the same thing with plenty of YouTubers, but for me, I'm still growing, so I would really appreciate if you can hit that subscribe button. We're almost at 300K, and I know that's not impressive and it doesn't matter, but let's just hit that milestone anyway. We're eventually gonna get to 1 million, so we gotta hit 300K first. And also, if you could just like the video. All you gotta do is just hit the like button with your thumb. Just move it over a couple centimeters, boom, and it'll help this video go out into the ether more. But like I said, I am going to make 2 follow-up videos to this. One going over how monsters are monsters and what makes them work, as well as my ultimate grand theory on why people become monsters, like for real. Then I'm also going to make a video about Saitama's power, how the limiter works, and Saitama's path to removing his limiter, which we never fully see in the manga or the anime. You have to like read every single volume and all the bonus chapters, and then you kind of have to piece them together through the timelines to figure out how it happened. I'm also going to go into spoilers later on in that video, showing you how far Saitama's power goes once he like fully shows to the audience what it means to remove your limiter, because we have not even seen him scratch the surface with his power yet. We're not even going to see it in this season. I'm not hyping you up to spoil the series. I'm just saying in case you're interested in that. Also, while this is happening, we're seeing the first big fight of this season, and it's Garo taking on Royal Ripper and Bug God at the same time. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean King the Ripper and Insect God. And it looks good. Maybe I'm delusional, but this looks good to me. But this fight is surprisingly competitive. And I say surprisingly because Royal Ripper and Bug God are demon level monsters, and Garo is essentially dragon at this point. And if he's not dragon, then he is above demon. I'm not going to get into what that means. You can kind of figure it out for yourself. But he, on paper, should be way stronger than them, but they're pretty competitive. And we're seeing that sludge jellyfish, who Garo like smashed in season 2 after he defeated Metal Bat, comes back because, you know, he didn't die from that because of, you know, his sludge-like properties, which is actually pretty impressive for a tiger level, even though that was Hero Hunter Garo. But still, he winds up kidnapping Tario, and that like distracts Garo, and he winds up getting slashed by Royal Ripper, and then he just gets destroyed after that. And before we go further, let me just say that I made a video during the pandemic when I was really into power scaling this series, and I came to the conclusion that Bug God is the strongest demon level monster in the series. Maybe that's changed. I'm gonna make like a new grand power scale video of One Punch Man once I finish rereading it again, which I'm on my path as we speak. But he might still be the strongest demon level, which is, I don't know, it's kind of interesting, right? If you ever thought about that, like, who's the strongest demon? It's probably Bug God. Now, saying who the strongest dragon is, that's a whole different story, and we can't really get into that because, you know, there's plenty of dragons that we're going to be talking about in this video. But anyway, Royal Ripper starts slashing up Garo, like, pretty violently, to the point of where he thinks he accidentally killed him, and that's not what they were supposed to do. Giro said, hey, don't kill him. He's kind of like my pet project. And to be honest, Royal Ripper probably should have just killed him. I mean, I know Bug God stops him, but I just say that because he seriously messed up by even giving Garo the chance of living. And I don't even mean just because revenge or whatever, which obviously Garo will be upset once he wakes up, which we see at the end of the episode. And also, if you watch the intro, you know that he doesn't die from this sequence. But it's just the way that the overall grand power system in this series works, which maybe will be explained in episode 5 probably. But yeah, probably should have just killed Garo here because now you just messed up big time. But anyway, we're cutting over to Saitama's apartment with the gang there, and we have this really funny sequence where Saitama comes back from trying to find Garo. And we saw in the previous episode that he literally did find Garo, you know, through the Dine and Dash thing, but of course he didn't know that it was Garo. He just thought he was some random Dine and Dasher guy. And Bang is like worried this whole time because he thinks that Saitama accidentally killed Garo or whatever. And when he's talking to him, he's like, yeah, I lost my wallet. And Bang's like, oh, I thought you clashed with Garo. Because, you know, while Bang is upset with Garo, he still loves him. It's still kind of like his grandson or even like his son in a way. And he's like, now that you mention it, that Dine and Dasher, I bought some cabbage, but I left it at the restaurant. And this is funny, of course, because Saitama is literally referencing Garo here, but he doesn't even know it, and obviously Bang doesn't either. Then Fubuki comes and gives him back the cabbage because he left it at the restaurant and also left her with the bill in the previous episode too, so that's getting resolved. Then Dr. Kuseno shows up. He's like the guy that makes Genos a cyborg. And looking back on this sequence, it really doesn't add much to the story other than Saitama just meeting Dr. Kuseno and I guess him getting more screen time. But to be honest, I know way too much about this series, especially what's going on currently, and I'll just say that this sequence does matter. It's probably telling us things that we're not going to know for a very long time. Anyway, we come back to the Monster Association and we see Royal Ripper and Bug God tell Giro that they killed Garo, and Giro's not really pressed by this. It's like almost like they know that Garo isn't dead, but they're kind of pleased with how things went because of how the power system works in this series. And, you know, again, probably talk about this in episode 5. Hero Giro also mentions that a Hero Association surveillance robot went through the tunnels that Elder Centipede made in season 2 and is going to pinpoint the exact location of the Monster Association within like a day. They don't show it for some reason in the anime, but it's like a little robot drill dog that Child Emperor has. It's just saying that, like, yes, very soon the heroes are going to invade the Monster Association and the big battle is going to start. But we're just further seeing what is to come in this season, essentially, by seeing all of these monsters. And I also like this sequence because we don't really get to see too much of this ever again. Like a little slice of life almost sequence of the Monster Association, like how they interact and work. Like, because I like that. It's like, instead of just making him like this faceless bad guy organization, it's like giving them some depth. It's like, yeah, when they're off screen, they are kind of just living and chilling and doing their own thing. We've got Rhino Wrestler. We saw him in season 2. He's going to be fighting this season. We've got Phoenix Man, who's saying some ominous things here about, hey, maybe I'll be the Monster King too. He's going to be fighting this season. We've got Super S. She's going to be in the next couple episodes. We've got Hellfire and Gale. They're talking about Flashy Flash again. Obviously, they're going to fight Flashy Flash. I think we even saw in the intro that they're going to fight him. We've got Pureblood the Vampire, who claims that he is a monster by birth. That's super fascinating because he calls all the other monsters like pseudo-monsters because, you know, they're humans who became monsters, but he himself is just straight from birth a monster. To be honest, this stuff isn't really explored too much, although we do know that monsters are born monsters. I mean, straight up in the first episode, Vaccine Man says that he is born from the pollution of the planet. Even though there's more to that, but I won't bore you guys with the deeper theory to that. But I just hope eventually we get more into like monsters who are born monsters, because that's fascinating to at least me. We're seeing this guy, Devil Longhair, although his official name is Malonghair. We're seeing Neon, who is also an executive, so he is dragon level. Then we see Royal Ripper running into that robot guy, G5, and it turns out that he has the head of the Metal Knight robot got defeated by Orochi. He says that he's gonna like reverse engineer it essentially. So that's pretty interesting. What is his motives? Because G5 isn't a part of the Monster Association. He kind of just showed up out of nowhere in the first episode and was like, hey, can I chill with you guys? Then we see Tario getting put into Waganma's cell. Waganma, of course, we saw in episode 1. He's the whole big reason why the heroes are going into the Monster Association, to save him, because he's the son of one of the biggest donors of the Hero Association. But he's like totally unlikable, of course. But we see that Tario is there as well. So now there's another reason for another person to go infiltrate the Monster Association to save him. But this is also just another reason for Sludge Jellyfish to tell us who the executives of the Monster Association are. These are all the dragon level monsters. We've got Overgrown Rover, Gums, Evil Natural Water, Neon, like we talked about earlier, President Ugly, Homeless Emperor, Black S, or Black Spermatozoan, Giro, and then we see Orochi. So it's like, wow, the odds are actually kind of stacked against the Hero Association at this point, because the S-Class heroes range from like demon level to dragon level. Not all of them are dragon, but all of these guys we saw are dragon, and then we have Orochi at the top of the pyramid, who at this point very likely could be above dragon. You know, that same level that Boros was. You remember Boros from season 1? Orochi could be on that same level of power, possibly. But then we come to the end of the episode where we see Garo's hand twitching, because obviously he's not dead. Yeah, Garo's going to be back in the next episode for sure. Looking forward to that. But wow, let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. And if you liked it, please give it a like, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, guys. I'll see you in the next one.